Shilanam Tum Das Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parvikrakacharya Stottara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parvikrakacharya Stottara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Srila A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Shri Guranga. Hare Krishna. So today is the disappearance day of Srila Rupa Goswami, and I will speak some words on his disappearance day. I'm not so qualified to speak on Rupa Goswami, but I'll try my best to say some nice words. So, as we all know, he's one of the most prominent acharyas in our line. And we are all Rupanugas. We are the followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatana Goswami, his older brother, they went to Vrindavan to fulfill 4 orders of Lord Chaitanya. And does anybody know those 4 orders fulfilled by Lord Chaitanya? Yeah. Discovering the pastimes of Lord Krishna, that's one. Yeah, right, devotional letters. To install deities and to propagate the rules of bhakti. So these are like the 4 orders that Sri Rupa Goswami took the orders of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami wrote very practical and profound transcendental books. He established the Sri Sri Radha Govindaji, the beloved deities of the entire Gaudiya Sampradaya. Through the extensive Vedic research, Srila Rupa Goswami proved that Lord Chaitanya's teachings present the highest philosophy and the perfection of all religion. So we understand this because of his scriptures from like Bhakti Sastras, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and many other ones that are very prominent. The one we mainly study is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar Devotion. So every Rupanuga devotee aspires to become a servant of the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami. Sri Narottam Das Thakur sings, Sri Rupa Mandri Pada Se Mora Sampada Se Mor Bhajana Pujana. The feet of Sri Rupa Mandri, Rupa Goswami's eternal form as Sri Radha's maidservant in Vraja, are my only wealth. They are the only object of my service and worship. Srila Rupa Goswami is the form of true love and devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him to explain his own love and devotion and to propagate it to the whole world. Lord Chaitanya manifests his own pastimes through Srila Rupa Goswami. He received the title of Bhakti Rasa Acharya, the guru of devotional mellows. For his devotional, like his scriptures like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjvala Nilamani, Lalita Madhava, and others. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu gives the essence of all Vedic scriptures regarding the kingdom of bhakti. In great detail, it explains how to advance in Krishna consciousness and attain pure prema bhakti, pure unalloyed love for Radha, Govinda, and Sri Vrindavan Dham. To understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, says Narottam Das Thakur, you must serve the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami with intense eagerness. Serving means hearing, studying, chanting, and strictly following the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. Serving also means praying to, crying out to, meditating upon, and dedicating your entire life to the Lord. Srila Rupa Mandri, Sadhana Deepika, states that those on the path of devotional service must always associate with Srila Rupa Goswami's doctrines on Prema Bhakti by the grace of Srila Jiva Goswami. one can understand the transcendental truths of Rupa Goswami's teachings. If we just pray for the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami, maybe we can start to understand the pastimes of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. So that's all I have. I mean, not so much. A whole class could actually be spoken about Srila Rupa Goswami, but I'm not so qualified to speak on that. So. But we can get into the Bhagavatam first now, which is Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 14. Can you put this up? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 14, the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Kiyan Bhuvaha Ayam Kshakpita Uru Bharaha Yat Drona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Muilaihi Ashtadasha Akshauhinikaha Mat Amshaihi Aste Balam Durvishaham Yadunam Kiyan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo Kiyan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Muilaihi Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Muilaihi Astadashakau Hiniko Madam Shire Ashtadashakau Hiniko Madam Shire Aste Balam Durvishaham Yarunam Aste Balam Durvishaham Yarunam Kiyan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Muilaihi Ashtadashakau Hiniko Madam Shire Aste Balam Durvishaham Yarunam. Please repeat. Yan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Muilaihi Ashtadashakau Hiniko Madam Shire Aste Balam Durvishaham Yarunam.
Kiyan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo
Kiyan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo
Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Mulaihi
Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Muilaihi
Ashtadashaksho Hiniko Madap Angsai
Ashtadashakau Hiniko Madam Shire
Aste Balam Durvishaham Yaduna
Kiyan Bhuvoyam Shipitaro Bharo Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Muilaihi Ashtadashakau Hiniko Raman Shire Aste balam durvishamam yarunam. Yam bhuvoyam kshipitaro bharo. Yajrana bhishma arjuna bhima mulai. Ashtara shakshav hiniko maram shai. Aste balam durvishaham yarunam. Yan bhuvoyam kshipitaro bharo. Yajrana bhishma arjuna bhima mulai. Ashtara shakshav hiniko maram shai. Aste balam durvishaham yarunam. Mataji. Yan bhuvoyam bhurevjaro. Yajrana bhishma arjuna bhima mulai. Aste balam durvishaham yarunam. Kiyan bhuvoyam shipudorvaro. Kiyan, what is this? Bhuvaha, of the earth. Ayam, this. Kshapita, abated. Uru, very great. Bharaha, burden. Yat, which. Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, Bhima, Mulaihi, military strength. With the help. Ashtadasha, 18. Akshauhinikaha, flanks of military strength. Mat Amshaihi, with my descendants. Aste, are still there. Balam, great strength. Durvisham, unbearable. Yadunam, of the Yadu dynasty. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the abment of the earth's great burden, 18 Aukshinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be more unbearable, may be a more unbearable burden. Purport. It is a wrong theory that due to an increase in population, the world becomes overburdened, and therefore there are wars and other annihilating processes. The earth is never overburdened. The heaviest mountains and oceans on the face of the earth hold more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a census were taken of all living beings on the surface of the earth, certainly it would be found that the number of humans is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. If the birth rate of human beings is increasing, then the birth rate of other living beings is increasing proportionately. The birth rate of lower animals, beasts, aquatics, birds, etc., is far greater than that of the human beings. There is an adequate arrangement for food for all living beings all over the earth by the order of the Supreme Lord. And He can arrange more and more if there is actually a disproportionate increase of living beings. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. The earth became overburdened due to dharma glani, or irregular discharge of the Lord's desire. The Lord appeared on earth to curb the increase in miscreants and not the increase in population, as is wrongly put forward by the mundane economists. When Lord Krishna appeared, there had been a sufficient increase in miscreants who had violated the desire of the Lord. The material creation is meant for fulfilling the desire of the Lord, and his desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their conditions for entering. The entire process of cosmic arrangement is intended just to give a chance to the conditioned souls to enter the kingdom of God. And there is an adequate arrangement for their maintenance by the nature of the Lord. Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness and not miscreants, such a burden on earth is a source of pleasure for her. There are two kinds of burdens. There is a burden of the beast and the burden of love. The burden of the beast is unbearable, but the burden of love is a source of pleasure. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes the burden of love very practically. He says that the burden of the husband on the young wife, the burden of the child on the lap of the mother, and the burden of wealth on the businessman, although actually burdens from the viewpoint of heaviness, are sources of pleasure. And in the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation, which is heavier to bear than the actual burden of love. When Lord Krishna referred to the burden of the Yadu dynasty on the earth, he referred to something different than the burden of the beast. The large numbers of family members born of Lord Krishna counted to some millions and were certainly a great increase in the population of the earth. But because all of them were expansions of the Lord himself by his transcendental planetary expansions, they were a source of great pleasure for the earth. When the Lord referred to them in connection with the burden on the earth, he had in mind their imminent disappearance from the earth. All the members of the family of Lord Krishna were incarnations of different demigods, and they were to disappear from the surface of the earth along with the Lord. When he referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Yadu dynasty, he was referring to the burden of their separation. Srila Jiva Goswami confirms this inference. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshul Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Karam Hayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yutaf Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Tajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijani Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Laita Shri Vishamvikamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosite Tapta Kanchara Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sade Devi Pramami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivikasa Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunya Vari Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Karadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, I'll read the translation again. After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. So there's many points that Srila Prabhupada talks about in this purport. But the first point Prabhupada is making is that it is wrong to think that the overpopulation of the earth is a burden on the earth. But Srila Prabhupada is stating that Krishna is maintaining all the living entities, and he provides for all of them. There's a famous verse that he quotes a lot. Nityo nitanam chaitanas chaitanam eko bahunam yo vidhadhati kaman. Krishna, being the source of everything, maintains everything in this material manifestation. So we can clearly see that Krishna is the supreme controller. He's the Ishvara. He's the supreme controller. Prabhupada continues to say in the purport that the heaviness of the mountains and oceans on the earth, on the face of the earth, hold more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a census were taken of all the living beings on the surface of the earth, certainly it would be found that the number of humans is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. So as we can see here, like there's so many living beings, like like oceans. He was saying, the great oceans, the great mountains. Even actually, even on our bodies, we have microorganisms all over like our body. Like on our tongue, all over our body. So what to speak of like the whole world? We have like billions of living entities on our body, or like trillions. And what to speak of like the rest of the world? And so many people think like, oh, we're humans, we're like the best. I'm American, people think, oh, we're the best. The human beings are the best, but clearly, there's many different living entities all over the universe. What to speak of Earth? There's so many. So we have to understand that Krishna is providing for all these living entities. Because like the cows and the birds and the dogs and all these living entities out in nature, they don't go out and endeavor for like for their food, or they don't like try so hard to like go get sense gratification. It's very easy to actually enjoy as an animal. It's like like Krishna, he gives facilitation to all the animals, and he provides their food, he provides their water, he provides all their accommodations, because they're just they're relying, everything is on instinct. But human beings, they try so hard to enjoy and gain all these, like they try so hard. They have to like get food, and what they're trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. They have to like, get all their food and sense gratification. They get a job, and then they go to school, and then do all these et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, we understand that if you just surrender unto Krishna, he provides everything. Like it's saying here, Krishna being the source of everything. He maintains everyone. So he's the ultimate Yogeshwara. He's the supreme controller. He is maintaining all the living entities. As Prabhupada said, he's saying in the purport right here, there is an adequate arrangement for food for all living beings all over the earth by the order of the Supreme Lord, and he can arrange more and more if there actually is a disproportionate increase of the living beings. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. So there's many people, they thinking that, overpopulation is a big problem, oh, everyone's starving and this and that. But the reason why people are thinking that the earth is being overpopulated and overburdened is because they're living a demoniac way of life. People, people, they're living very impractically, eating meat, endeavoring so much for sex life, for sense gratification, so-called advancement in society with technology. All these people are bringing trouble it's just bringing more problems to people's lives, actually, because they're not using it in the service of Krishna. That's why Srila Prabhupada is also saying here, the earth became overburdened due to dharma glani, or irregular discharge of the Lord's desire. And on this note, actually, I wanted to read this book by Bhakti Vikas Swami on speaking strongly in Srila Prabhupada's service. Super nectar book. Recommend to read it if you haven't. So, most people are so completely deluded that they cannot even begin to recognize their affliction and are disinclined to take seriously even obvious truths. For instance, that no one in the material world can escape the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. An intense approach is required for cutting the arrogance of such fools, to pierce through the misconceptions and attachments that cover their hearts, and to revive their original consciousness beyond false egoism and exploitative desires. Agyana jiva nija hite ahita kari mane grava charuna haile pacha ughade nayane. An ignorant person considers detrimental that which is for his benefit only after his pride is pulverized due to his eyes open. Most people have never thought deeply about, let alone consciously register the assumptions upon which they base their life. They have been imperceptibly yet thoroughly trained to accept falsity as truth, to the extent of considering that which is harmful to themselves and others as being beneficial. As well-programmed workers and consumers, they resent any worldview that impinges on their imagination of being independent and having freedom of choice and thought. They presume that whatever they are doing is fine, even if, as is normal today, their existence is hellish, and that they have no need to change anything in their life. Thus, they become much disturbed if confronted with Krishna consciousness understanding, perceiving that it threatens to undermine their whole existence. So, I just wanted to read that. That was like very nectar. So, Guru Maharaj is saying, like, these people are like, they're just fine with going on and on and on with the, their false like conception of life. Like I remember actually I was recently at this Comic-Con, and there was this one guy I was trying to give books, and like I was like, yeah, these help you open your eyes, and they really like give you the perception where other people you have the eyes where other people can't see, and it really just helps you understand. Like I was explaining him about like how people are living animalistic lifestyles, and like how this actually brings you to a level of like understanding like the world and what your position is in life and stuff like that. He was like, wow, this makes a lot of sense, this makes a lot of sense. And then he was like, yeah, my girlfriend's like right here, let me just get my, he's like, I'm definitely going to give you a donation, definitely, and he's like, let me get my wallet, it's like right here, literally, he's like, right there, I'm like, okay, like, he like pointing at his girlfriend, I was like, okay, he'll probably come back like immediately. He never came back, even though he was so convinced, of the, of what I was saying, or like, it looked like what he's saying, but still, even after all that, he's like, these people just don't want to accept the truth of Krishna consciousness, as Guru Maharaj what he was saying. People are like, even though they're living a hellish life, they still think it's normal, And actually, I wanted to read also from this book, Glimpses of Additional Indian Life, one of the best introductions ever. So, let me see where I was going to start. And let me see. So, in traditional societies, man fulfilled his needs in simple and eco-friendly way. Oh, actually, I don't know. This is the wrong one, actually. There you go. I found it. Sorry. Unfortunately, industrialized man has strayed far from such innocent existence. Modern society life is highly artificial, being far removed from its source of sustenance. Even if of a theistic bent, city dwellers tend to have very little knowledge of the relationship between God, nature, and man. They think that food comes from a shop, light from a switch, and health from a pill. Multinational corporations rape Mother Earth, exploit her resources, entice people to hellish factories, and sell all kinds of junk to them. Industrialization and consumerism engender selfishness, ignorance, and gross materialism. Secular education teaches man to consider himself master of his own destiny and nature a beast to be hacked and tortured into submission as an adjunct to progress. For all their advancement and economic development, modern townsfolk cannot even get fresh food. What to speak of peace and contentment? The millionaire living in his posh apartment with all modern amenities can even get fresh vegetables. A staple of the poor village. Of the poor village. In modern societies, portable water must be purchased because the tap water is repeatedly recycled, sewage mixed with chemicals. Nor does bottled mineral water have vigor or taste comparable to that of fresh river or well water. People in big cities drive out to the country on weekends just to breathe some fresh air, whereas in the village air means fresh air. With what a nasty civilization! That crowds people into unhealthy, crime-ridden cities, has them work in horrible conditions, and provides them poisonous air and food. Because city dwellers don't have to walk very much, carry water, or labor in fields, they tend to look down upon villagers as backward and primitive. But for all their modern conveniences, city folk must exercise artificially or else develop conditions like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, arthritis, constipation, and so on. Such artificial living makes for artificial people who may smile superficially but are hollow within. The modern society dweller is constantly overstimulated with the bombardment of information, advertisements, and so-called entertainment, but his heart remains spiritually and emotionally empty. Although modern man can hardly envisage life without cars, computers, television, and innumerable other diversions, this plethora of gadgets is a meager substitute for peace of mind. So, very strong words from Guru Maharaj, but it's very true, very, very true, because many people, they're striving so hard, for this sense gratification, Like he's like saying just like even I from practical experience actually, even before I came to Krishna consciousness, I was doing the exact same thing, everything like Gumaraj was saying, I was trying so hard to endeavor for happiness, I would like smoke weed every single day, like hang out with my friends every single day, party every day, do crazy stuff. I did a lot of crazy stuff in a super short amount of time. But like I tell these people on books all the time, even though I did all this stuff, this is what they bring, not even a slight of happiness. Even though I was like surrounded with all these friends and family members, I still felt like I was super alone. Because ultimately there's no like actual happiness in material objects. Very temporary. And in modern society, if the only way to be happy is to follow the desire of the Lord, then there wouldn't be all these wars. As like Prabhupada was saying, like in the purport, like the people think that the population, the overburden of the earth, therefore that these are wars and other annihilating processes. People think like all these, that's why we have these wars, because of overpopulation and like stuff like that. But no, the real reason why we're having all these wars is because there's so much lust, so much all these people are like lusting after sense gratification. Like I remember I was talking yesterday with Tabas and Mr. Van Prabhu yesterday, and they were talking about like how when someone's so lusty, not only does it come from like like sex pleasure, but lust also can mean like like super into like sense gratification. Like like I want all these cars, I want all this money, I want all these mansions, whatever. They're trying so hard day in and day out. Because Mr. Ram was telling me about his brother, how like his brother is like really going through it. So, but through this demoniac way of but due to the demonic nature of society, they wish to enjoy separately from Krishna. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 7:15, namam dushkrito mudha prabhadyante naradhamaha mayaya pavriti jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are the lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So, as Srila Prabhupada is also saying in this purport, he's saying that the entire cause, like, therefore there's no question, where is it? The material creation is meant for fulfilling the desire of the Lord, and his desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their conditions for entering. The entire process of the cosmic arrangement is intended just to give a chance to the conditioned souls to enter the kingdom of God. And there is an adequate arrangement for the maintenance by the nature of the Lord. So, Krishna is very merciful. Time and time again, he creates this universe just to give us a chance to enter back into his pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. Like time and time again, very merciful. Is like birth after birth after birth. We're taking so many births just to finally come to this point of Krishna consciousness. There's some people who like finally, like I was explaining, like that guy, just finally comes in contact with Prabhupada's books, finally comes in contact with Krishna consciousness. But still, there's just some people who are just eternally conditioned. It's just like they just want to be in this material world over and over and over and over. I think I don't know the exact, I think it's in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, but there's a certain purport where Prabhupada was saying that there's some like some souls, they have like they have the, like, I think Tapa showed me, they have the they have the conviction to just eternally be conditioned to stay in the material world, to just completely enjoy separately from Krishna. But Krishna is very merciful, he is anyone who surrenders unto him. Many chances he gives them liberation. There's this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam janmanam mante jnanam vam prabhadyate Vasudeva sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabha. Vasudevam sarvam iti. So Vasudev, he's the Vasudev. He's the cause of all. He's the supreme goal. Vasudeva sarvam. He's the supreme goal. One who knows me is a very great soul. He's very rare. It says, after many births and deaths, one finally comes in knowledge. Surrenders unto me, knowing to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. So such a great soul is very rare. So people who are coming to this Krishna conscious movement and actually taking this up, is very, very rare. I was actually talking to Kalki Prabhu yesterday because he was explaining to me actually when because he was telling me how on Jamashtami he was distributing books at this what's it called, this festival, like this hippie festival or whatever, this hippie concert, people camp out at these concerts or whatever, and like they do crazy drugs and go to the concerts or whatever. But he was distributing books at one of these on Jamashtami, and he was telling me like how he's like yeah, Jamashtami, like he wasn't at the temple hanging out with the devotees and not experiencing relishing the Jamashtami festival, but he was actually on books and distributing books, and but due to his austerity, he actually he gave a book to one lady, and I think she gave a donation, and from that one book, she actually became a devotee, and he was telling me she was actually going to get initiated very, very soon in October or something like that. So from all that, just from all that, it was worth it, millions, just to make one devotee, I was he was telling me it takes thousands of blood and gallons of blood and sweat and tears, go so much in just to making one devotee, So in that case, devotees are very rare. We should be very fortunate to be in the association of devotees. We try to associate with devotees as much as possible. It's not really, I mean, just from the introduction I looked to this book is karmis is even in hellish conditions they think it's normal. So it's and it's so many of these people just don't even think about Krishna consciousness or spirituality at all. For another example, I was at this Comic-Con recently also, and there was another guy I was talking to, and I was trying to get books, and after going to so many of these Comic-Cons, you kind of get tired of these child-minded people. They're adults, but they're childs basically, because they're into all this kid stuff basically, but they have no intelligence at all. They don't even think about the higher deeper questions in life. They don't even think about it. And I was showing one of these books. I was showing the books to one of these guys, and I was I was asking him a simple question, just a simple question. Why do you live? What's the main goal of life? Just simple questions. And he said, just a simple question. He said, I never even thought about it. That's what he said. I never thought about it. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I never thought about that. He's like, I never thought about that. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. These people, especially at these Comic-Cons, they have literally animalistic, thinking. They just even people at the Comic-Con, so many furries go to these these Comic-Cons, so they literally want to be animals, literally. But with the Krishna consciousness, if we just give them the books, hopefully they can get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Rupa Goswami. So. And there was actually related to that point I was just making. I wanted to read this purport. It's very nice actually. It's 1822 from the Bhagavad Gita. It's very nice. It is Srila Prabhupada is describing the intelligence of people without Krishna consciousness. So the translation is, and that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Purport, the knowledge of the common man is always in the mode of darkness or ignorance, because every living entity in conditional life is born into the mode of ignorance. One who does not develop knowledge through the authorities or scriptural injunctions has knowledge that is limited to the body. He is not concerned about acting in terms of the directions of Scripture. For him, God is money, and knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily needs. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. It is more or less like the knowledge of the ordinary animals, the knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Such knowledge is described here as a product of the mode of darkness. In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic and mental speculation is a product of the mode of passion, and knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So, Prabhupada is saying here, clearly everyone in society makes up their philosophy to make up their situation in life more comfortable, for their own sense gratification to enjoy separately from Krishna. They say, many people, they say, well, that's your opinion, that's my opinion, this is your opinion, whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, people say, But the thing is, no one cares about your opinion. You know, like, unless, opinions are useless, because think about it, we're very little beings in a very little world, in a very short time, a very short time, period of life. We have a very short time. We only live. We don't even, supposed to live 100 years, but nowadays, I don't think that's normal anymore. People live like maybe like, I don't know, but definitely not to 100. And but when Krishna says my opinion, it's a fact. There's a difference between when we say my opinion and when Krishna says my opinion. Because like when Krishna says his opinion, it's a fact, because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nandir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the supreme controller. He's the cause of all causes. He's the original person. Brahma Samhita is a 5:1, very nectar verse. And but when he says it, it's a fact. But when we say my opinion, your opinion, has no meaning. Ultimately, it's useless. Because like, what's the point of it's all these opinions? But what's the reality? What's the fact? You can say my opinion is that I'll live forever. I'm God and like this and that. But ultimately, you're gonna die. The fact of the matter is that you're gonna die. So ultimately, people say like all these things, but your opinion doesn't change the fact. We should see what reality is. People in the modern age, they have a very tough time accepting accepting these facts. But we don't care about your opinion. It doesn't make any difference to reality. The fact is that you're going to die, so you should find out what happens after you die. What happens after you die. And there's this verse. Oh, how's it go? Dehinosmin yata dehe gaurama yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir. Dhiras tatra namuhyati. Okay, so like when this is what Bhava Gita is explaining. What happens after death. From boyhood to to youth to old age. Similarly, the body changes, transmigrates to another body. This is what happens. Such a person in knowledge, actually, he's not bewildered by such a change. But this is what it's describing. Bhava Gita gives this knowledge of what happens after death. What is the main point of life? What should we be doing in this lifetime to attain happiness? These are the main points that Bhava Gita is stressing. And what Srila Prabhupada and the great acharyas came to give. And the fact is that we're controlled in this world. The world doesn't go the way we want it. Many people they want to go this way and that way. They want people create all these agendas. They try to facilitate for their sense gratification, but ultimately all their plans get ruined. Like Kalki Prabhu, he was saying in his class 2 days ago. He was like saying many people he was giving an example of like some famous guy, I don't know, but he was like so many of these famous big demons, they try to plan out their life and like this is like he was saying Walt Disney, like he was saying he was like planning out his life, like to freeze his body to like when they in the future when they are able to bring me back to life and I can like start my reign again. But ultimately we know that that's just not true. You're dead. You can't come back. It is what it is. The way we're controlled by the agency, by a supreme agency. We're controlled by. So, and then Prabhupada continues in this purport. Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness and in not miscreants, such a burden on the earth is a source of pleasure for her. So, if we just, if we just like follow the desires of the Lord, and we try to be as Krishna conscious as possible, distribute these books so other people can understand the point of life, then people won't have to suffer in this material world. He's literally saying here, although there's a great increase in population of the surface of the people exactly with God consciousness and non-Christians, such a burden of the source is a pleasure for her. So it's a pleasure for the earth to have devotees around the world. We're saying in the last part, when Krishna referred to the burden of the earth, like when the millions of family members that were going to disappear from the earth, it wasn't a burden of the beast. It was a burden of great pleasure, or like great separation. It was in great separation, because all these devotees of Krishna, the Yadu dynasty is great devotees of Krishna. They're all pure devotees. They're all facilitating. They all go with the desire of the Lord. And so we should, respect all these devotees, and we should try to avoid offenses, or else we'll our intelligence will be not so good. It goes down very easily. So when Srila Prabhupada and the past acharyas, especially today, the disappearance day of Srila Rupa Goswami, and when they left their bodies, it wasn't a great burden on the earth. It was actually, it was a great burden, but in separation, of love, because the devotees, they're coming here to give the main point of life, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada literally came here to the West just to give all these Westerners the knowledge of of Vedanta and Gaudiya Sampradaya philosophy. But these past acharyas, they've done so much for where we are now. We've come such a long way. So, as it says in the purport, there's many different, two different kinds of burdens of the earth. The burden of the beast and the burden of the love, like I was saying. And then undoubtedly, like the family members of the Yadu dynasty, they were great. There was a burden of love, for separation. But I was thinking, when the Yadu dynasty left the earth, it was definitely a great separation. But I couldn't even imagine when Krishna left the earth. Yeah, I'm not sure I think I heard before. I'm not sure if this is true or not. But when Krishna left the earth, there was great great catastrophes, great hurt, it was talking about great hurricanes and stuff like that. Not hurricanes, but yeah, everything was everything was everyone was in distraught, the world was very troublesome, it was there's very, very the Mother Bhumi, she was feeling great separation from Krishna, from his disappearance of the earth. So so that's all I really have, actually. So that's all I really have. I'm so sorry if not such an amazing class, but I tried my best to speak on this verse. If there's any questions, comments, corrections, chastisements, please ask.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
So you were just saying, I'm just wondering about this, animals don't endeavor. Don't we see that, they have to go out and get their food, and, even animals travel, the birds have to travel so far to get their food. They get out of their nest and go so far. And even the elephants, they have to walk a particular distance. Or, the tiger has to chase its animal to kill it. So isn't that endeavor also?
Yeah, what I meant by maybe it's I maybe said my words wrong, but endeavoring, definitely that's animals also definitely endeavor for their food and stuff like that. But what I was naturally pigs, these pigs they find happiness and just very simple things. Animals are very simplistic. They find happiness in very simple things, while humans they they over endeavor.
Exactly.
So that's what I was trying to say.
That's nice. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
That one. Where the animals, if you leave a grain Prabhupada writes like that, the animal will take how much it needs.
Yeah.
The human will come and take the whole thing and
Yeah.
stash it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that. Can you send this quote of that they're eternally conditioned? I think I've read something like that, but I've read Prabhupada writes like that seemingly they seem eternally conditioned. but not that they are. You know, nitya baddha, that we've been in this material for, what I understand is that we've been in this material world for so long, it practically seems like
Oh,
eternal.
it seems like eternal.
Yeah, so just a clarification that the living entity is never eternally conditioned. You know, there's like always a chance. I mean, it is actually, by nature, is Krishna conscious. But, you know, but it's just, you know, that conditioning is there. It's like, that can be overcome, you know, at any point through Krishna consciousness.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're saying, yeah. So just, yeah, just some basic things. Huh?
It's not like they're conditioned forever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're the point. Yeah. The point is that they're in the material world to come out of it. Like, here, take it.
This is the big deal about actually the Madhva Sampradaya. There's something known as Taratamya, which basically means that the living entity, you know, this Vishnu, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and like as you keep going, you know, and like from there, then Lord Shiva starts associating with the material energy. And then there's Rudra, and a living entity can also become Rudra. And then there's all of the living entities. And then basically as the living entity becomes more and more involved in matter, this is like a very controversial point that the Madhvas say, is that at a certain point of time he's so detached from spirit, and he's so attached to matter that he can never be liberated from it. That's the philosophy of Taratamya. And that's Prabhupada explains that, but you know, he makes a point over here in this purport, I could send it, that any living entity can be rectified, and that's the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So you know, we're not disagreeing with the Madhvas. Even if that's the case, ultimately still, you know, like Ishvara was anyway, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can change anything. He can change anything. So he can, you know, change the will. He can, like, you know, just reverse it. Prabhupada says he can make matter into spirit and spirit into matter.
Gopinathacharya's pastime is there where he desires to benefit the other living entity, therefore the Lord changes it. Because I think there's that pastime with that devotee. That person doesn't want to become a devotee, but Gopinathacharya begs to the Lord
Yeah.
to allow him to become.
Actually, if you read Madhurya Kadambini, that's the whole thing, that the Lord does not interfere with the free will of the living entity. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, it's only from a bhakta that you get bhakti. It's only from a devotee that you get devotional service. The Lord doesn't usually just grant it like that, because it's like it's interfering with the free will of the living entity. But when the devotee prays, my Lord, you interfere like this. And so yeah, that's like this Nitya Baddha, that's that word is there, but they're here to be rectified. Prabhupada actually writes in this purport over here, yeah, the expansions of Vedic wisdom also give the Nitya Baddhas, the conditioned living entities, a chance to improve. And those who take advantage of such transcendental knowledge gradually regain their lost consciousness of rendering transcendental service to the Lord. You know, so Prabhupada, it's as clear as day there. You know, so there's no question of being like eternally conditioned. At some point, eternal living entities come and touch. Yeah, so, and Prabhupada in this purport, in this part before this, he says. Yeah, again. Oh yeah. No, not this part. I was looking at another one where he says that it's meant. This whole material world is meant to correct the attitude of the living entity. You know. So, and he speaks about Nitya Baddha. So that's the point. You know.
I think this question might just be a grammatical question. I was wondering in the purport, at the end, Srila Prabhupada mentioned how, this is the second to last sentence. When he referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Yadu dynasty, he was referring to the burden of their separation. I was just wondering, does that mean Krishna's separation from the Yadus? So like he wanted them to come back with him? Or is it referring to the Yadus' separation from Krishna, so they would be distraught with Krishna not being there? Or someone else's separation? I was just wondering, whose burden of separation is it?
Well, from my well, I mean, what I thought was is like, you know, like the great, because like it was also saying here that it was like I was just reading. Hold on, let me see. It's like. Yes, it's like therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness and not miscreants, such a burden on the earth is a source of pleasure for her. So, I mean, I'm assuming like Prabhupada is referring to the earth. So, I mean, I just assume like, oh, like, you know, the separation he was referring to is like Bhumi Devi, you know, like the earth is separation. That's what I thought.
Prabhupada gives a few analogies before that. He gives the mother
Yeah.
and the child. Bhumi, she's the mother. And then also like, yeah, it just seems, and also in the purport, it's mentioning burden. And then Prabhupada mentions burden of separation, burden of the earth. So
Yeah.
then Prabhupada says that burden is the burden of separation. So it seems more clear that it's the earth. And you can understand that like, if you've been with certain devotees that are very old, or people in your life that you love a lot, you know, just when they leave your association or they may leave their bodies, there's a heavier feeling within the heart of the person more than anything else. Like, you know, you could hold something heavy, but then the heaviness that's in the heart of having separation from someone else is unimaginable compared to some weight on you. It's like a whole different level. And so there's this burden of separation. It's just like this desire to be with the Lord again is sits very heavily in the heart of the different Vaishnavas and also, you know, Bhumi in this case. That seems to be like the, you know, more or less like the thing.
I think I'm not understanding the purport correctly. So the separation is, sorry, the thing I'm just getting confused about is, so what's being talked about is that Krishna's removing the yadus from the earth to relieve what? That's what I'm not getting.
So there was going to be the whole dynasty was going to like kill each other. I mean, they killed each other, but they were going to like, from my understanding, they weren't going to function properly afterwards. There was going to be so much.
It's clear from this purport that Prabhupada is speaking of the earth feeling the separation from the yadus. But in the purport in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Krishna wanted to remove the yadus from this realm because he said that they're so powerful, no one can defeat the yadus, not even the demigods. If you read, like, you know, when, you know, Krishna's assembly hall, what's this called, you know, Sudharma hall. So they went to the heavenly planets, they fought with Indra, defeated all the demigods, and then they thought, like, this Yudhishthira, you know, he got such a nice assembly hall, Indraprastha, let's go to the heavenly planets and get Indra's hall. So they kick Indra out of his own assembly hall, along with all the demigods, Agni, all of them, pull it down, and give it to Krishna, like, no, Krishna, you deserve the best, so this is for you. You know, so Krishna is thinking that no one can defeat the yadus, no one can. So, and then he says that, and they're so powerful. When Krishna disappears from this world, they will go mad, and out of separation, the madness of separation from Krishna, they will destroy the whole earth. So that's another point of view that you can also look at. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur specifically makes this point of the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the earth is going to feel separation, and Krishna also wants to remove, before the yadus could become like an actual burden of the beast on the earth. He removes them. So both are there. What do you think?
Anything else? Mataji's? Giri's?
It was just a thought, just going from this purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti describes there's two kinds of burden. There's the burden of love and the burden of separation. And so, like, the burden of love is like the child on the lap of the mother, and the analogy is the yadus on the earth. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that the burden of separation is heavier. So maybe in this way that the yadus were considered a heavier of a burden once Lord Krishna left, because then they were in the mood of separation from Krishna rather than Does that make? Am I understanding that right? You know what I'm saying? Okay. We'll talk about it after.
Iman. Oh, Iman Mataji.
Hi, Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So you were speaking on how people have plans and they plan out their lives, and sometimes, like, they plan out their lives so much, but then Krishna comes in and they take over those plans, and of course, you were speaking about these people that go to Comic Cons and you ask the guy what's the purpose of life. He said he never thought about that, but these people in general, like, they live out their entire lives not like actually thinking about that, and they plan their lives and they over endeavor to gratify themselves so much. So but I've also had experiences or spoke with some people during books. I'll introduce the books and they'll be very interested, but they have this hang up to where they know they're so used to something that they're afraid of changing, and they're really afraid of, like, trusting into something new, because ultimately they're afraid of their whole mindset getting changed. So I actually have two questions that kind of go into the same thing. So can you say that the over endeavor to plan out our lives comes with a lack of trust in God in a way?
Over and I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was, sorry, Chandan was quoting that verse, like, like a pig, or an animal, he takes what he needs, but a human when he over endeavors, is actually, I think it says in the next instruction, it's like bad to over endeavor, right? Like, I don't know, but it's like it's not good. It's not good to over endeavor. Too much over endeavor is bad. You just need what's necessary. Like, for example, like, brahmacharis, they really don't. We don't over endeavor. We don't just, like, we have what we have. It is what it is. It's like we don't try so hard to get what we need. Krishna just provides everything. If you're like, naturally, if you're a devotee of Krishna living in the temple, you don't really need so much. Simple living, how you're thinking. Just very, very, very simple lives. But, like, the karmis, when they outside, they're always over endeavoring, constantly. So, like, from that over endeavoring, they're bringing themselves more, like, pain in their life, more, like, sorrow in their life. It's their own fault, actually, for them being unhappy, because they're over endeavoring so much. I'm trying to be happy. But then you're not happy, so.
But can you kind of explain how that, like, comes from, like, in some way they're an illusion to think that what they're doing is this is what's been working for me for the longest. But
Yeah.
for them to change that, I'm asking, like, what can you tell to somebody that they should trust this more than they trust what they're already doing? That's kind of what I'm.
I usually, what I tell people on books, like, because, like, they're like, oh, they get so mental about, like, because they don't, like you said, they don't want to change, That's why I tell people, oh, these books are not meant for, we're not trying to convert people, we're trying to educate people. These books are just to help you, like, educate yourself. We're not trying to convert. Ultimately, we're not trying to convert anybody. We're just trying to educate. That's what the Krishna conscious movement is about. Not converting people, we're trying to educate. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Clean, brainwashing people say, oh, like, Prabhupada, yes, we're gonna wash your brain. We're gonna wash your brain. So, yeah, it's not about, like, like changing your whole, like, mindset. Well, that's what they think. They can change the whole mindset, but just educate yourself, learn something. Even I tell these people, like, Jesus, like, a lot of Christians, they're like, or, like, not Christians, but, like, people who are, like, they so-called Christians, but they're not. They're like, oh, Jesus. I tell them, oh, Jesus Christ, he was very open-minded, actually. He's like, that's just you have to be open-minded to learn stuff. If you're not open-minded, you can't learn anything. So, that's what I tell them. Like, just these are not meant to convert. These are meant to educate.
Just important point is, like, that there may not be, like, one thing that you can say that, like, makes people, like, believe in, like, what you're doing more than what they're doing. I mean, there's, like, multiple things. It's like, I don't think anybody walks into here and says, well, let me just believe what you have. It's like, well, you have to present so many things You have to show them a lifestyle. You can't just say it. Just like, I mean, we're talking about all this burden on earth, but the real thing is Varnashram Dharma. To bring in Daivi Varnashram Dharma, to bring in the farms and show them practically how them depending on the civilization is not very smart, because like Maharaj was saying, although they're living very complex lives with a lot of money, any villager is happier than any of these people endeavoring so much. So they have to practically see that. You can't just expect them to believe it. I mean, it's kind of foolish on our part to say, well, you have to believe us. Why? Like, you're not living a life like that. Why should I? So ultimately it comes down to your actions. So the actions speak louder than words. So as a Krishna consciousness movement, that means we have to show, not just like say things. Okay, all right, we have to become self-sufficient. Like we can say that, but then we have to actually do it and show it. Hey, look, we're devotees and we're living like this. Not that you preach it, but you're completely dependent on the store as well. Then what are you going to teach? Like hypocrisy? So then it depends on how you live. You're going to teach surrender. You have to be surrendered. You can't tell someone to surrender and you are playing, you going and watching a movie and doing whatever you want. So it begins by actually like doing the process and other people being able to see that the process works. Only then their hearts will change. You can't just expect people to come and believe what you're saying.
And at least also, if you cannot prove that spiritual life is better than material life, you can tell that about material life. You can see the miserable condition like in other countries, when you doing book distribution in other countries, you can give example of America, of US, you can see the people, they have everything, the best cars, the best gadgets, and they have all kinds of sex, and they have all kinds of entertainment and everything, but still they are not happy. Because of that, you can see so many suicides, so many stress, and now they have some abuse, and even they can kill, like some school guys, they can go to school and take some guns, and they kill someone, and they told that this Indian people is not civilized, no, we are civilized, but still they have so many problems, and you're doing so much endeavor and still you're not satisfied. You can see you want 1 million, 10 million, crores of millions, but still you're not satisfied. And that perspective, and then like Prabhupada told in Bhagavad Gita in the introduction, he told that disciple became qualified to accept Guru when he understands this is miserable condition, this is material world is completely miserable, this is bad place. And then he want to go out from here, and then he understand I should have a guru. This is like our qualification. We should understand this material world is completely horrible. Because sometimes it's very difficult to describe them, really, the beauty of spiritual life, especially when you don't have a fixed faith. Still, even after 10 years, 20 years, even preachers, they cannot be an example of pure spiritual life. But at least we can tell them about miserable condition of material life.
We're really good at that.
It will be not.
We're really good at that. Okay.
Bhakti Kasmar says that even if we were to say that whatever we're doing is completely wrong, even if you were to say, you can't deny the fact that we live a much better life than you.
Oh, yeah.
Like no one can deny that.
Actually, I was on books one time. There was this guy. He's like, I was telling him, I don't have sex. I don't have no drugs, no illicit, no meat eating, whatever. He's like, what the hell? He's like, what if they're lying to you? Like, oh, you're doing all this and you're just lying. I'm like, hey, at the end of the day, man, I live in a mansion. I eat good. I drive the nice cars. We party every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong? So, at the end of the day, Krishna consciousness is very amazing. Very, very fun time. So, all right, that's it. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Vancha Kalpati Vishakapati.